to Turbo Training.
Quick, practical coaching videos for volunteer leaders.
I'm Anthony Taylor.
And I'm Siler Thomas, joining you as always from our home office here in Rancho Cucamonga, California. We are talking today about the least you need to know to lead a great small group. We talked before, a couple sessions ago, about planning. This is actually leading the small group itself. What do you do when you get into that space and you're leading? And a few years ago, I was in front of a room of parents of 8th graders as the high school pastor, kind of helping them understand what's the transition going to be into high school. And I was preparing them that sometimes their kids will go into a small group and it will be awkward. It happens all the time. It's initially just awkward. And in the moment, I was trying to encourage them, like, but you got to push past that awkwardness. And I came up with this phrase, in the moment. It's like the greatest on my feet thing that I've ever come up with. I said, because guys, on the other side of awkward is awesome. And everyone was kind of like, oh, golf clap. Like, ooh,
trademark
that's
that one.
Nice. Yeah, trademark that one. And I've seen this in pretty much every case. You start with an awkward group. It's just always awkward. And kids come home and they're like, it's really lame. It's awkward. And the parents are like, okay, we don't have to go anymore. Like, no. No, push through that because it always gets to some level of awesome if you will commit. So
that's really good. Well, so here's some simple ideas to kind of move that process along. So let me start with this idea that the first thing you need to know is that you need time.
Yes.
Right? It takes time to kind of push through that awkward. Awesome groups don't happen immediately. And so think about how can you spend more time with your teenagers, thinking about going to games, right? Going to their band concerts, right? A middle school basketball game is the lowest scoring game you've ever seen. But go to it. Like have your group over for a movie night, right? Watch a movie night together. Do those kind of things because when you can put time with teenagers, your group will move from awkward to awesome.
Yes. And then the thing to consider is trust. So you're spending time, but you need to develop a place where you know that trust is happening, where you've got this idea. We're not talking about small group stuff outside of small group. In fact, you might even hear in some gathering something that someone was shared in small group being shared. Like, shut that down. Go over and say, hey guys, I hear some things going on. This is a small group thing. We need to keep that here. That might initially make them feel like, oh no, I'm in trouble. But what it communicates is you're serious. You're serious about saying, we're not talking about this stuff outside of small group. And that's how much we value the trust that we're trying to develop in the small group.
You're building it right away, there. That's good. The other thing that will really help is food. I like food. Everybody likes food, right? Right. The way to someone's heart is through their stomach. And so how are you creating some food? Just a way, I think middle schoolers talk so much better when they're putting a brownie in their mouth. Now you need to think about this too. If you have a sugary snack every time and your kids are bouncing off the walls, maybe you change that.
Think about some fruit, perhaps.
That's totally okay. Think about the way that you bring food in. And that'll really help. Jesus was often around food with the people that he cared about and was ministering to.
Makes sense. I want to move a little bit into a section where I want to talk about specific kinds of students, like archetypes of students that you find in every group. And I don't have time to go through. I go through a few more. This book that I worked on here. You can Google my name and find it if you want to look. There's more.
This is a really good book.
Thank you so much.
I
appreciate that.
If you'd like to buy it, the types in here go in detail. They're really good.
Exactly. So I'm going to share just a couple of them with you. So one that you'll find in most small groups is this fellow known as Taki McTalkerson is how we're gonna call him. And God bless Taki. Taki is amazing because you need Taki. You need Taki to just help liven things up. That's right. Because you can. A friend of mine said once to me, you can tame a wild horse, but you can't put life in a dead one. So you need to have this person that you can then. And so the problem becomes when Taki is just talking constantly. So what you can do is you can take Taki aside and say, hey, Taki, you know what? We are so glad that you're here. You bring so much to this group. I could really use your help. I could use your help getting the other people to engage as well. Would you be willing? And so you sort of put Taki under your arm and say, would you willing to be my apprentice in this? And most of the time, Taki is going to go, wow, he needs my help. She needs my help.
You trust me?
You trust me. This is so exciting. And now you've got this person, kind of on your side and helping you.
That's really good. Maybe Willa, the wallflower.
Another one.
You have her standing on the sidelines. She's not ready to really engage. And so you go to them, right? You go talk to her. They often don't talk as much, right? Yeah. But still waters run deep, right?
That's right?
And I think that's important that you prop Willa up by saying, hey, Willa, I really want you to answer this question. Think about it, and I'm going to come back to you in a minute. And now, she's probably an introvert. She's probably processing that stuff. Taki, probably an extrovert, right? And you come back to her, and everyone just goes,
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
She is a big asset to your group if you learn how to love her and care for her well.
That's right. So there's others we can cover we don't have time for, but there's another category of student that I want you to just consider, which is the extra grace required student. And it's kind of hard to define, often called them EGRs.
EGRs.
Yeah. And it's hard to define even what that student is, but when you have one show up in your group, you're like, yep, there it is. Like, just for whatever reason, just a little bit more challenging, requires a little bit more patience for everybody. And the first human response is to just kind of be like, I don't want to deal with this person. But the more you respond to that, the worse it's going to be. So push in, engage, get other people to figure out how you can engage together. I've seen so many good things happen when this extra grace required person, it requires more grace, and good things happen when we give more grace.
Yeah, it's so good. Band together and love them well.
Yes.
The last thing to consider in your small group is how do you keep the conversation moving?
Yep.
And that's really, it's a social skill, but it's a learned thing that you can do. And don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying fill all the void space with your voice.
That's right.
Right? Don't do that. But how do you take what you're hearing and keep that conversation moving like a hot potato, right? You want to keep it kind of popping around. And so you can do simple things like, Jessica, what I heard you say, and you just reiterate what you heard, A, B, and C, is that correct? Great. Hey, what do you all think about that? And so all you're doing is taking the potato and then tossing it around, right? Maybe you're propping up someone saying, hey, I'm coming to you in just a second for the conversation. Figure out how to continue the conversation moving.
So as we wrap up here, we want to encourage you to maybe identify in your setting, I know Taki, that's this person. Willa the Wallflower, that's this person. And extra grace required. That's, this is helpful. So identify the different kinds of people that you might be encountering in your group, and how you might, as leaders, be able to encourage one another as you consider this specific people and how you love them well. So as we wrap up, Lord, bless these leaders as they lead their groups, give them everything that they need to be great leaders. See you next time.